Okay, let's dive right into this. Welcome to a high-stakes exclusive masterclass where we are fully pulling back the curtain on Cambridge AS and A-Level Accounting 9706. Specifically, we are tackling an absolute beast of a topic today: sources of finance for business entities. Now listen, I have spent literally countless hours poring over principal examiner reports, and I'm going to hit you with a harsh truth right out of the gate. Most students lose incredibly easy marks on sources of finance. It happens every single year. They step into that exam hall, they flip the page, they see a massive high tariff question, and they just completely freeze up. Or honestly, even worse, they panic and write a beautiful, sweeping essay that completely misses the actual marking criteria. We're treating today as an exclusive behind-the-scenes look straight into the examiner's playbook. We're going to dissect complex questions, we are going to master time allocation, deploy some serious critical thinking strategies, and analyze exactly where things go wrong for most candidates so you can get them perfectly right. And that brings us to the core mission of our explainer today. The data shows that most candidates drop easily obtainable marks on this exact topic. But after this session, you absolutely won't be one of them. That is our concrete promise to you. To really help us unpack this and bring these concepts to life, I want you to conceptualize two brilliant scholars joining us in our digital studio right now. We'll call them Alex and Sam. Think of Alex as our highly technical, detail-oriented scholar. Alex is the kind of student who excels at formulas, memorizing facts, and perfect execution. But Alex kind of struggles a bit when it comes to open-ended evaluation. On the flip side, we have Sam. Sam is our creative, conceptual thinker. Sam is incredibly strong at building these broad, compelling arguments, but frankly struggles with structural precision and strict time management under extreme exam conditions. Today's objective is to watch them navigate a complex multi-stage analysis together. By analyzing their process, we can completely demystify how to secure those elusive method marks that examiners are actually desperate to award you. So, here is our game plan. Section 1 is the examiner's lens. Section 2, the peer deconstruction debate. Section 3, we hit roadblocks and technical methodology. Moving into Section 4, an interactive workshop. And finally, Section 5, strategy recap and top traps. We are moving fast, but we are going incredibly deep today. Let's start with the examiner's lens. I want to isolate what happens when you encounter a complex, high-tariff sample question. We're talking about those massive 9 to 15-mark questions that literally have the power to make or break your final grade. You need to understand that when an examiner sits down with a red pen to look at your paper, they aren't just looking for a random data dump of everything you know about accounting. According to the strict academic benchmarks for sources of finance for business entities, examiners require logical, structured, step-by-step reasoning. The assessment framework explicitly prioritizes analytical depth over superficial breadth. So what does that actually mean for you in the exam hall? It means writing 4 pages of vaguely related financial facts will score significantly less than one perfectly structured, deeply analyzed paragraph. It's about precision. Let's break down exactly how they measure that depth. It all comes down to the 3 cognitive domains. These are your assessment objectives, and if you know Cambridge, you know these as AO1, AO2, and AO3. Successful candidates absolutely must demonstrate competence across all 3 of these domains. It's essentially a hierarchy. You build it from the ground up. You start with AO1, which is knowledge and understanding. This is identifying the given information in the scenario and knowing the raw facts. For example, knowing the basic textbook difference between a bank loan and an issue of ordinary shares. That's your foundation. Then you step up to AO2, which is analysis. This is taking that information, breaking it into logical steps, applying it to the numbers provided, and solving the problem systematically. But the crown jewel, the absolute peak where the elite A-star marks live, is AO3, evaluation. This is where you question assumptions. This is where you consider different perspectives, weigh the long-term impact on the business, and critically, justify your final decisions with hard, undeniable evidence. Because of this hierarchy, the absolute most crucial skill you can develop is understanding the anatomy of command words. Let's deeply contrast 2 of the most common ones: analyze versus evaluate. If the prompt simply says, analyze the sources of finance, your focus is entirely on breaking down logical steps and showing systematic reasoning. You are examining the nuts and bolts of the financing options. You're showing how a debenture impacts gearing, for instance. But if that prompt says evaluate, or to what extent do you agree, the rules of the game completely change. Evaluate demands justified recommendations and weighing alternatives. It means you must step back, look at the entire macroeconomic picture of that specific business, compare the different approaches, and make a final, evidence-backed call. Top-performing students know how to seamlessly shift from merely analyzing the data to fully evaluating the alternative sources. If you just analyze when the paper specifically asks you to evaluate, you are putting a hard, unbreakable ceiling on your marks. Moving into our second phase, let's look at the pure deconstruction debate. We are conceptually transitioning over to Alex and Sam in their collaborative digital study suite. Picture them looking at the exact same high-tariff question on sources of finance that we just discussed, but almost immediately they're clashing on how to lay out their essay response. This is a fascinating conversation to break down because it perfectly mirrors the exact internal monologue you should be having with yourself in the exam hall. Let's dissect their debate and see how they try to deconstruct the problem. So Alex is pushing incredibly hard for a purely factual approach. Alex is sitting there saying, look, we just need to list out the formulas, the interest rates, and the exact technical facts of the debt-to-equity ratio. We need to show the examiner we know the math. That's how we execute. Alex is heavily, almost exclusively targeting AO1 and AO2, knowledge and application. But Sam immediately counters this. Sam leans back and argues, no, Alex, if we just list facts and crunch numbers, we're acting like a textbook, not a strategic accountant. We need a broader conceptual perspective. We need to argue why issuing shares is a strategically better move for this specific business in this specific economic climate. Sam's aiming straight for the top, targeting AO3, evaluation. Alex is super worried that Sam's approach is way too vague and lacks strict formatting. Sam is equally worried that Alex's approach is too rigid and robotic and won't earn any of those higher-order marks for justified recommendations. So who's actually right here? Well, the secret to unlocking the top-tier marking bands requires a complete synthesis of both approaches. You absolutely need Alex's technical precision to build an unshakable foundation, but you need Sam's conceptual arguments to build the roof and finish the house. I'm going to step in here and synthesize their debate with this exact definition, pulled straight from the syllabus principles. Conceptual understanding is defined as the ability to exhibit connected, principle-based reasoning that is perfectly transferable to entirely unfamiliar business contexts. Listen to that carefully. The examiner doesn't just want to know if you manage to memorize the textbook definition of a debenture or a rights issue. They want to see if you can take that principle-based reasoning and apply it dynamically to a completely unique, totally unfamiliar business scenario that they've invented for the exam. It is all about connectivity. Elite marks require you to prove to the examiner that you don't just know the what, but you deeply, fundamentally understand the how and the why. Okay, let's jump into Section 3, Roadblocks and Technical Methodology. Alex and Sam have finally agreed to combine their forces. They are actively drafting their response paragraph by paragraph on screen. They have the hard facts down, they have the broad concepts ready, but suddenly the clock is ticking and they hit a massive roadblock. The pressure is on. Their paragraphs aren't linking smoothly at all, the formatting is getting super messy and chaotic under the time pressure, and most importantly, they are completely stuck on how to transition their technical AO2 analysis into a final AO3 evaluation without just awkwardly repeating themselves. They are spinning their wheels and losing absolutely precious time. Right before we solve this massive roadblock for them, I want to pose this session real quick. If you are finding these high-level breakdowns helpful, make sure you are actively subscribed to the channel, Ace the Exam's IGCS O and A levels, at the handle, @acetheexam_IGCSE. Hit that subscribe button and absolutely make sure you enable all notifications right now. You do not want to miss our weekly Cambridge breakthrough strategies. Okay, let's get back to the masterclass and show Alex and Sam exactly how to break through this wall. I'm stepping into their session with a highly specific 6-step procedural framework to rescue their chaotic draft. When you are stuck in an exam, this is exactly how you earn method marks, through logical, structured reasoning. Step 1. Deconstruct the question. What is the exact command word? Is it analyze or evaluate? Step 2. Extract relevant data from the stimulus materials. Don't guess, don't invent numbers. Use the text provided. Step 3. Select your analytical framework. Are we using descriptive, analytical, or evaluative levels here? Step 4. Execute with crystal clear notation. Step 5. Verify your results. Take a second to check your math and logic for basic reasonableness. And finally, Step 6. Present clearly with correct, syllabus-approved terminology. By applying this exact sequence, Alex and Sam take a deep breath, scrap their messy, repetitive transition, and rewrite the flawed section out loud. By trusting the procedural framework over their own panic, they instantly shift from a chaotic, mediocre draft to a flawless, full-mark response. That brings us to Section 4, our interactive workshop. This is where you come in. I am addressing you directly right now. We've talked about the high-level theory, we've watched Alex and Sam struggle and succeed, and now it is time for an immersive pause and practice segment. I am going to put you in the hot seat to test your own data interpretation and critical analysis skills under simulated exam pressure. Let's see how you do. Imagine a 60-second visual countdown timer ticking down right now. I am challenging you to visualize a highly complex text excerpt. It details a business entity that is severely struggling with liquidity, and the directors are debating between taking out a short-term bank overdraft versus issuing long-term equity. You have exactly 60 seconds. What data are you extracting first? Are you pulling the interest rates? Are you looking at the current equity dilution? What about the specific timeframes involved? Our procedural framework tells us that rapid data interpretation skills are absolutely critical here. You must extract from text and tables, interpret the financial relationships, and draw evidence-based conclusions immediately. If you spend 45 of those seconds just casually reading without actively highlighting the contrasting traits of those two finance sources, I promise you, you've already lost the method marks.
When you are executing this under pressure, how do you actually dissect the correct parts? Well, true comparative analysis requires identifying both similarities and differences. I'm going to say that again, because examiners note this exact failure constantly. You must identify how two sources of finance align and how they differ. And what's the elite secret to doing this seamlessly? Using comparative connectives. You need to be using words like whereas, conversely, or in contrast to. You must support each comparison with direct evidence from the text, and then draw strong conclusions about their relative importance. This isn't just lazily listing facts side by side. It is actively pitting the sources of finance against each other to prove which one definitively wins for this specific business scenario.
Next up in our workshop, spot the flaw. I want you to imagine a poorly written, panicked student answer that reads something like this. A bank loan is good because it gives money, but it's bad because of interest. So what is fundamentally wrong with that sentence? Well, I have systematically mapped that exact type of answer to the top 3 mistakes pulled straight from principal examiner reports. Mistake 1, answers are far too vague. Examiners want highly specific details. Saying a loan gives money is incredibly vague. Saying it provides immediate liquidity to fund critical capital expenditure is specific and scorable. Mistake 2, formatting is forgotten. The syllabus rigidly demands proper headings, correct accounting terminology, appropriate formats, and clear annotation. Don't ever write a giant unreadable block of text. Mistake 3, lack of specific context. Stating a loan is bad because of interest means absolutely nothing if you don't tailor it to the given scenario. Is the business highly leveraged already? If so, yes, the interest burden is catastrophic. If they have zero debt, it might be a perfectly manageable risk. Context is literally everything.
Let's move into our final section, strategy recap and top traps. Alex and Sam have officially finished their digital study session. Alex had a massive realization that technical facts and perfect math mean absolutely nothing without explaining the why. And Sam realized that beautiful, sweeping, conceptual arguments completely collapse without structured, cleanly formatted evidence. They've both had their personal breakthroughs today. Now, let's fully synthesize this entire masterclass strategy into something you can carry into your next exam. Before we get to our final pillars, you absolutely need to heed this official examiner alert. It is the ultimate golden rule of Accounting 9706. Candidates consistently confuse key terminology. Always define terms before using them in extended responses. Practical application develops professional skills, and a massive part of being a professional accountant is using the right vocabulary. If you're going to talk about concepts like gearing or liquidity or retained earnings, you need to define them briefly and accurately before you base your entire 15-mark essay argument on them. Doing this proves to the examiner that your AO1 knowledge foundation is rock solid before you ever launch into your complex AO3 evaluation.
So, let's lock in our 3 core pillars. This is your reliable, repeatable exam methodology. Pillar 1, the 3-step question scan. The second you open the paper, highlight the command word, isolate the required cognitive domain, and flag the specific business context. Pillar 2, the paragraph balance formula. Every single point you make must contain Alex's technical, hard facts, perfectly balanced with Sam's conceptual, big picture evaluation. And Pillar 3, the last 5 minutes review checklist. When time is almost up, ask yourself, have you used comparative connectives? Are your headings clear? Did you actually answer the specific prompt, or did you just write down everything you know about finance and hope for the best? I want to close out this masterclass by leaving you with this final, highly provocative thought. How will you personally apply this exact methodology to secure your target grade on your very next past paper? Because, let's be honest, knowledge without strict application is entirely wasted. You now have the exact examiner's lens. You know exactly what they are hunting for. Crushing Cambridge exams requires consistent, unyielding strategy. So I need you to hit that subscribe button for Ace the Exam's IGCSE O and A levels at acetheexam_IGCSE right now. Turn on the notification bell so you don't miss our future exam hacks, and jump into the comments right below this and declare your target grade. Practice consistently, trust the framework, and I will see you in the next explainer.